Repeal and replace. That 2016 message to overhaul the Affordable Care Act helped guide Donald Trump to the White House. Nevertheless, when pressed on his health care policy over the weekend, the president-elect was unable to give specifics about a path forward.
Do you have an actual plan at this point for health care?
Yes, we have concepts of a plan that would be better.
Still just concepts? Do you have a fully developed plan?
Let me explain. We have the biggest healthcare companies looking at it. We have doctors. We're always looking because Obamacare stinks.
Let's bring in our political panel. Joel Payne is a CBS News political contributor and a Democratic strategist, and Matt Gorman is a Republican strategist and served as a senior advisor on Senator Tim Scott's presidential campaign. Gentlemen, great to see you both here. Matt, I want to start with you because the president-elect has a lot to do on day one. Do Republicans want to be talking about making changes like that to health care?
No, I don't think Trump does either, right? This was the same thing he fell into when he was elected the first time, right? They felt like they had to do Obamacare first. If you talk to the Trump team afterwards, they wish they'd done either taxes or infrastructure first. I think they're not going to fall into that same trap again. Because again, his whole first 2 years in the 2018 midterms were defined by healthcare. I think this is something he doesn't really want to do, and I don't expect him to follow through on it.
I mean, it seems like Democrats would invite that kind of conversation to be able to run against it.
Yeah, I mean, but this is who Donald Trump is. This is who Republicans are. Like, you know, it reminds me actually of after George Bush won re-election back in 2004. It was a little bit of a bait and switch, right? He kind of ran on one thing and then decided to like go after Social Security and Medicare. And I do think that if Donald Trump and Republicans try to go after something like the Affordable Care Act, or if they do unpopular things, they'll be penalized for it. Again, they have to read what the American people were telling them during the election the appropriate way. If they read it as American people want us to go far to the right, they want us to do a bunch of unpopular things, they're going to have an unpopular presidency. He has a choice if he doesn't want to do that. And I think it'll be interesting to see how he chooses to govern, if he chooses to govern.
And obviously another huge issue in this election was immigration. There was broad, I would say, majority support in our polling for mass deportation. But Matt, in that interview over the weekend, Trump talked about ending birthright citizenship. Is that something that Republicans should entertain?
Well, there's even a question of whether he can do it without a constitutional amendment, which would be a lot of lift of political capital, right? As you said, there are immigration things he can get done both by executive order and through congressional action that are fairly popular and can be a relatively easy lift, or at least go along with the popular opinion stream. Birthright citizenship, I mean, I remember talking about this with Scott Walker when he ran for president in 2015 when I was on Jeb Bush's campaign. That was an issue back then. I think there is certainly, I'm not sure if there's political capital or the will among even the party to have a constitutional fight for birthright citizenship. There are other things he can do, far more effective, far more popular.
Yeah, I mean, the question of whether he can do it, obviously, is kind of the most important one. For Democrats, I mean, are there incentives to work with this administration on immigration issues, or do they feel like they don't want to engage and that the president-elect can do things unilaterally?
I mean, Kamala Harris ran on Jim Lankford's immigration bill. I still think that is essentially Democrat starting point, so I would see no reason why they wouldn't want to work together on that. But you know what's interesting? Over the interview over the weekend, the thing that I took from it was Donald Trump saying, I can't promise that people's prices won't go up or that people won't see a hit to their bottom line when I'm president because of this crazy thing I want to do with tariffs. And we're talking about immigration here. And I do think that, you know, it's interesting when you're thinking about how Trump is going to govern here. Is he going to govern in a way that's actually going to negatively impact the lives of the American people? Like, that is, like, it's easy to talk about, I want to do all these things in terms of mass deportations. I want to do this aggressive tariff policy. But, I mean, gosh, if I'm a Republican, I'd be concerned about people experiencing pain at their pocketbooks. He's being handed a really strong economy. I don't know if he wants to screw that up, similar to how he did, 8 years ago or 4 years ago in 2016.
I think if he was handed a strong economy, it'd be President-elect Harris right now. I don't think it's as strong as you say, but I will say this. I think what he is setting the terms of the negotiation, right? He's extremely comfortable at a negotiating table. And as we saw with how Trudeau and Sheinbaum both acted in relation to his tariff threat, Trudeau immediately went down, met face-to-face. I think they started off on a better foot. I think Sheinbaum boxed herself in with this kind of very chest-thumping letter.
Didn't commit to do anything.
She absolutely did. It was a very antagonistic letter where Trudeau got face-to-face with him, got him in a room.
He started a fight to get someone to agree to policy they already are executing.
Again, I think what you wanted to do if you're Trudeau, you want to get face-to-face, and Trump wants to get the best deal possible. Like by kind of starting off on a bad foot and by having House Democrats align with her, it starts her in a bad foot as well in terms of negotiation with this.
So there is this question of, Trump being kind of handed a mandate to address these issues that you're talking about, the economy, immigration. But at the same time, he's also talking about things like pardoning January 6th defendants. Is that a conversation that should be had among Republicans? It was talked about a lot on the campaign trail.
I think two things can be true. Number one, I think he's far more effective in going in on immigration and the economy. I think that, and I think also, if you're talking about 2020, I said this about Democrats and Republicans, nowadays you're losing. However, I will say this. In light of the Hunter Biden pardon, it's a lot easier to make those sorts of arguments because the norms, in a lot of respects, we had the Hunter Biden pardon for crimes he wasn't even convicted of. We're talking about preemptive pardons currently before Biden leaves office. It makes it so much more palatable, not among Republicans, but also in terms of norms to start now pardoning January 6th.
I agree with
does that kind of open the door?
I agree on both points. I agree that if you're talking about the past, you're losing, and I would advise Trump and his team to consider that. I would also say, too, again, it's a matter of priorities. If you've told the American people, I'm going to be focused on your problems, the things that matter to you, making your life easier, and then you spend time political retribution coming right off the bat, that's not going to send a good message starting a second Trump presidency.
All right, less than 2 months to go before inauguration and day one. Plenty to talk about until then as well. Thank you both for being here. We appreciate it.